till I reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving.
Yes, my Straight Talk family, whenever you hear that theme song, you know it is time for another edition of Straight Talk, and time for me to extend greetings and a very pleasant night to my Straight Talk family in St. Kitts and Nevis, and my Straight Talk family throughout the entire Caribbean region. I extend greetings as well to the world, because we are on the World Wide Web, and our Kittitian and Nevisian diaspora are at most times awaiting my arrival. So I always try to be on time, right on time. I trust I did that tonight. So I'm at liberty to say good night, good afternoon, and or good morning, because some of you are in Africa, some of you are in Asia, there are some of you in Europe, and there are a whole lot of you all over North America, and I know that one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. You may have joined me for the first time. I normally have first-timers, and as I ask you from time to time to share the link to this program, which is a public service program that facilitates and promotes all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, we do have a forum to express ourselves freely. Let's, in the process, try to regain our position that we held for some time as one of the freest, if not the freest country in the entire world. There's some people would suppress free expression. We know what happened to us, or to your host here on Straight Talk, but all we try to do, though, is to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And for the first time as well, I wish to inform you that Straight Talk, this program, is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls, we include your emails, and if you're so minded to call, the numbers are 869-663-6772, beg your pardon. Now let me get it right. 869-663-6672 and or 646-829-6672. You can get those numbers, in particular the last number of the overseas line, is accessible all times via your WhatsApp. There's some of you who like what I call the cloak of anonymity. You don't want to be heard for whatever reason, so you hide behind your keyboard, and we give you access via our email platform, and the address is Straight Talk Patches, STRAIGHTTALK Patches, PATCHES, that's one word, at gmail.com. And tonight, I crave your indulgence as I present tonight's thesis, my dissertation, which I have entitled Housing Debacle, Maths Too Hard. And this I would consider part 2 of our discussion on the proposed $600 million agreement to construct 2,400 smart homes right here in St. Kitts. Because I have recently learned, my Street Dog family, that Chinese fiber cement boards are materials that will be used in the construction of these houses. My Street Dog family, Dr. Zhu, our Prime Minister, seems to have an obsession with China, as I'm sure that we all remember during COVID-19, when he tried to make millions of dollars on the Chinese test kits. So what's happening with these houses and these China or Chinese fiber cement boards? We need some explanation as it relates to that. And could you imagine, Simmons gave us chicken wire house. You remember that? Douglas gave us an half a Hockhead house. Now Jew wants to give us fiber cement boards. And I posit the view that ECHD, that's the, let me get that right, that acronym right, in terms of let me break down that for you, so I won't misguide you. I want to give you the facts. The developers, that should be, that's the East Coast, what am I saying? East Coast Housing Development, my Street Dog family, is fully exposed. When this East Coast Housing Development is fully exposed, I should say, it will become the greatest housing debacle in the Federation's history. Because, hear me, it's going to be a complete failure. One irate citizen questioned the mathematical applications to this project, as a matter of fact. I mean, when I actually consider the view, or consider the idea of a caption tonight, I never for a moment thought that someone was thinking along the same lines as I was. And one irate citizen, I said, question the mathematical applications to this project. Hear this.
Houses? How could that? What kind of maths these people really working out? And then expect people to come and support them. He will never win another election, I'm telling you. What happened to the local contractors who suffering, who really need a job to make sure that ends meet for their children? What happened to our local contractors when it comes to that housing? Why them they will never make it into another tour, may I tell you?
And truth be told, my Straight Dog family, that seemed to be the general consensus of the majority of Kititians are here on island. Because everybody is crying out. When it's not one thing, it's the other. We had PAP, STEP, we had PEP, or STEP rather, than the Peace or Initiative, or the Alternative Lifestyle Program. But we must all tell Terence Drew, Jeffrey Hanley, Leon Natter, and Conrad Maynard just to go to China and leave poor people in St. Kitts alone. Yes. But before I get into the details, though, I will, however, consider our usual observations in review. And this is the last of my taking, because today is the 11th. And is it Saturday? Yes, come Saturday the 13th, that birthday bash, the birthday boy Jordan Williams would be held at the garage, Kenneth's garage. And I am asked to invite all. There will be entertainment, Mr. Byron, Bagnall, Smiley, Upfront Band, DJ Fire, Pungwa, and DJ Menti. It's at 2731 Golden Avenue on Bronx, at the Bronx in New York. The area code is 10469. And to get you inside that party, all you are required is to just give a small donation. They have not stipulated how large or how small. I'll ask you, do it the straight talk way, be reasonable. So I will consider our observations in review, my Straight Dog family. That's the time when we reflect, we highlight the issues of the day, and we do some reflection. We ask a few questions, such as what was accomplished? How has it helped others? What has changed since, and what can be expected next? Also, what new we have learned as a people. And just before coming on air tonight, and I heard of another issue. There's so many issues arising under this Jew administration. They're so hard to follow, my people. We heard of the issue as it relates to the Explorers Club and their place of meeting, I think, is in Molyneux, is it? Yeah, I think, no, not Molyneux, what am I saying? It's in Tabernacle. And we heard of some changing of locks. I have not received full detail, but I'm pondering and wondering what on earth is going on with that. Why are they attacking the young boys? The Explorers Club started in many schools all around the island as part of the community policing, and we're wondering why would they, or anyone for that matter, attack the young boys. Now, we will get some more information on that, because I do not like to talk out of turn, if you know Patches. And we are still following the issue as it relates to the board of directors of the Social Security. The Social Security Board of Directors, which it is still believed that those who were appointed recently were not properly appointed, and those that should have been serving their 3-year terms as stipulated elected by the instrument of appointment. That term ends in July of 2023. We know at the last press conference, I think it was, the Prime Minister said that he got legal advice. Whoever advised the Prime Minister, if he is talking facts, because you never know when the Prime Minister is talking facts, but he never seemed to ever talk the facts. And I say so respectfully. But whoever is, who gave him that advice, he ought to say as well. There's the issue as well as it relates to our situation in the health, in particular our hospital. And my Straight Talk family, it's really saddening to see what's happening over there, in particular at the JNF General Hospital, the Joseph N. France General Hospital. No matter what they talk about building a smart hospital, what we have ought to be fully operational and providing the service that we know as Kittians and Nevisians we can provide as a proud people. Now, everybody is also talking about our Prime Minister who went to see the King. Although he plans to soon transition St. Kitts Nevis into a republic. That's if he has his own way. But we saw a release from his office in relation to the delegation. And that delegation that went to London was very large. And this is what his account of the delegation was. He said this today. Hush, no. Hush.
I want to just speak to the issue for which I recently traveled for, and that is the coronation, the King of England, King Charles III. We received, of course, an invitation where we took a delegation that was made up of primarily myself, the Foreign Minister, the Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, also the Premier of Nevis, and we also had the Governor General and the Deputy Governor General, who also joined us, along with PS from my office and also someone from the Office of Foreign Affairs. And we also met our High Commissioner in London and other nationals who are there, other persons from the Office of the High Commissioner. And so we participated in the events. We actually had some activities to the coronation. We actually had the coronation, then after that, there was the super concert. So I would say that the event was well planned, well executed, and well organized. And so I think that we were able to take
yes, my Straight Talk family, to apologize for that little glitch with that sound bite. I think, in fact, I pulled the wrong one, nonetheless, to urge human, and please forgive me for that, my Straight Talk family. But yes, the historic coronation went down, and the Prime Minister took, as we said before, took a very large delegation, costing the country almost, I believe, we can confirm over $250,000. Yes. And perhaps, in hindsight, the Prime Minister could have perhaps invested in 2 anesthesia machines that the hospital needs right now instead of spending all that money to gallivant, as I call it, in London. And, you know, you never seem to follow Prime Minister Drew, because in London, he spoke to not being free. He spoke to not being free as a country as long as we had the monarchy as our head. He said this, my Street Dog family.
The head of state still reside in the monarchy of England. And so that aspect of it is telling us that we are not totally free yet. I think that acknowledging that something would have gone wrong, something wrong was done, that acknowledging it and apologizing for it is a step in the right direction.
But would you believe, my Street Dog family, he was not free, but he's still free. He is so difficult to follow, and he fabricates so freely that he said this today now.
I don't want people to think that we are thinking ourselves as some victims. I am not in the victim playing game. I'm a free man. This is a free country, and we are pursuing our path of development.
So you ask yourselves, what does Dr. Drew means? He's not free, but yes, we are a free country, and blah, 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 blah. That's how he goes. Well, those are observations in review tonight, my Street Dog family. And we'll move right into our dissertation, Housing Debacle, the match too hard. And you've always heard me say that mathematics is my strongest weak point. So it should not be a surprise to you that I am finding it difficult to calculate the numbers stated in the $600 million housing solution to be facilitated by the new East Coast Housing Development Project. This is not so, however, for Terence Drew, who is currently building a one-bedroom security hut for the police guarding him at Beacon Heights, and which I understand costs more than the half and hoghead house being proposed in the East Coast Housing Development Project. Why he wants another security hut at Beacon Heights with bedrooms? It is not so for Leonato, since he made no rush to the popular bar at Port Zante, once owned and operated by Riches, but changed hands, I believe it's sometime this year. Worse yet, it was not difficult for Jeffrey Hanley to calculate any benefits from this $600 million housing solution. It was not difficult for him to calculate any benefits from this project they have signed. Even though Jeffrey Hanley is a self-confessed slow learner. Not me. He said this.
Look at me, comrades. I told you how I started off as a slow student. I went to 1A4, 2A4, 3G7, 4G6, 5th form, 5G6. And guess what? I repeated. So I was in school for quite a while. But look at me today. Bachelor's in psychology with a minor in social work. Masters of education. Another master's degree in political and organizational psychology. And I would have been in a program for quite a while, since 2005, I'm not ashamed. And in 2016, I was offered the opportunity of getting a PhD.
Wow. From your secondary stage, a total failure, and a sudden transformation in his adult stage. Ain't that something? And we need to hear more sometime about Jeffrey Hanley, who seemed to have more degrees, as someone put it one time, more degrees than a thermometer. But now he's Dr. Hanley. He said he was offered an opportunity for a PhD. But he, as a slow learner, calculated his benefits quite quickly, I'm told, from the $600 million housing solution. But my Straight Talk family, ever since assuming office in August 2022, the Jew Labor administration has been shrouded in so much secrecy. It is unbelievable. Coming from a leader in particular who promised openness and transparency, which are two of the main pillars of good governance and democracy. They promised a new and better way, but their actions epitomize the hypocrisy of a bunch of corrupt politicians. I repeat that. They promise a new and better way, but their actions epitomize, I should say, the hypocrisy of a bunch of corrupt politicians. Approximately 1 week ago, we first learned of this housing debacle via an article in the Trinidad Express about the biggest housing project ever to be launched in St. Kitts. $1.5 billion, the headlines read, to construct 2,400 houses in St. Kitts. And this no doubt prompted Leonato to hustle and arrange what seemed like an impromptu interview with Jamie McPhail on a well-known pro-government radio station. Nato's performance was pathetic, to say the least. A young CFBC student referred to him or his performance as coming from someone who seemed to be daft. But many have pondered since then about the kind of representation we get when these labor politicians like Nato travel abroad on behalf of our beloved country. No one could have imagined, for example, Nato's explanation of the smart houses, my Straight Dog family. No one could have imagined for a moment his explanation or his definition, perhaps I should say, of what he called smart houses or a smart house, my Straight Dog family. Would you believe that Nato would say something like this. Who would believe this? My straight dog family. His explanation about a smart house. Everybody is still smarting about that until today. He said this, my straight dog family.
You're speaking about smart homes too. What would make these homes smart?
We're smart. How we deliver smart when it comes to home is we have to consider climate resilience. These houses are built so that they can, withstand earthquakes, typhoons, hurricanes, and of the like.
Tsunamis?
And of the like, yes.
I mean, how hurricane? What hurricane force they build to take?
Up to category 10.
10 way. You will at 10 anyway, please.
I'm just saying.
My straight dog family, is this blissful ignorance and or willful ignorance, you may ask? Because one can achieve blissful through ignorance by either being uninformed or uneducated or being willfully ignorant. Ignorant on purpose and on their own accord and own doing, my straight dog family. But now a great percentage of our population, to tell the truth, cannot afford safe and comfortable housing and are therefore forced to live in conditions that do not reflect our high income status as a country. But even with this new project to be implemented by East Coast Housing Development, housing affordability will remain a problem across the country. Because, for example, someone who works 40 hours per week on a minimum wage is now being forced under this Jew labor administration to live in a single bedroom home costing $110,000 to be built by East Coast Housing Development. Or they will have to continue to pay rent in a 2-bedroom house at the burdensome rent which costs them more, sometimes than 30 or 40% of their income they'll have to pay on housing. That's the situation in St. Kitts here, my straight dog family. And everyone needs shelter. You must agree that. So families that spend a lot of money on housing have less money over to pay for other goods and services. They have less disposable income, as we would put it, my straight dog family. For low-income families, this can mean reduced spending on essentials like food and health care. Families that face very high housing costs may fall behind on rent, many do, or on their mortgage payments, which can put them at the risk of eviction, foreclosure, and expose them to homelessness. That's the reality that we are facing here right now, especially on the Jew. Perhaps one of the reasons why NHC, the National Housing Corporation, was established some 27 years ago on September the 1st, 1996. With the passage of the National Assembly Act, the National Housing Act of 1996, which was revised in 2002, the NHC Act, the National Housing Corporation Act, was established for the purpose of adding and improving the existing supply of residential housing and to encourage and promote greater efficiency in the housing sector. It repealed the Social Services Levy Act and the Slum Clearance and Housing Act. Do you believe these still have slums clearance, some slums all around, some places? And I say perhaps, because when one examines the functions of the corporation, it states quite clearly that the functions of the corporation shall be to add to and improve the existing supply of houses by promoting housing projects to such extent as may from time to time be approved by the minister. And I always wonder and ponder about this one. It states, under subsection 1C of the National Housing Corporation Act, and I quote, the functions of the corporation shall be to provide housing for the indigent and infirm. Have you heard that? To provide housing for the indigent and infirm. It goes on in subsection 2. In the exercise of its functions, the corporation shall have power to, amongst other things, provide finance for development projects undertaken by the corporation, and under subsection C, to enter into loan agreements with borrowers. So the National Housing Corporation can enter into loan agreements with borrowers. We know that very well, my Straight Dog family. But interestingly, the release says, and I quote, government and NHC enter into agreement with developer for delivery of 2,400 affordable smart homes. It says government because the developer demanded a guarantee. And the agreement reads, and I quote, my Straight Dog family, this public-private partnership project is valued at over EC $600 million over a 4-year period. And listen to this. And the developer proposes a standard written government guarantee of only 25% of the full 100%, or EC $153,756,895.14. That's what the developer demanded as a guarantee to construct the total quantity of 2,400 houses in 4 phases of 600 houses each. So my Straight Dog family, I asked the question, why? Why would Dr. Drew tell a lie about the guarantee? Why? Why is Dr. Drew, why does he have this propensity to always lie? And his big lie today in his round table was this.
Was it necessary to provide any guarantees, either from government to the company or companies to government? Because, for example, what happens if they don't deliver? The number of houses that they say they're going to deliver. What happens if something goes wrong and they just simply stop the project? You know?
Mechanisms of protection within there. One of them being, if you don't deliver what you don't deliver, then there's no delivery from our end. So I think we have guarantees of protection in there. So the company is a legitimate registered company of Trinidad and Tobago. Approach the government. Of course, you would have done your due diligence to make sure that there are credible sources of funding. The company is coming with its funding, is not depending on the government necessarily for that type of, for all of that funding, for example, and they made their proposal and they are going to bring new money into the country.
You know, my stray dog family, sometimes I feel sad when I hear the softball questions and the question is, or the members in the media don't seem to even understand what they're asking, because in all contracts, especially in a contract with values at $600 million, the contractor, obviously, it would be a serious oversight if whoever helped government to draft this contract, if there was not a performance bond and or a security bond as part of the contract. And that has nothing to do with the guarantee that the investor or developer asks. The developer brought his money. The company brings money. So all they requested was a government guarantee valued at some 25% or the sum of $153,756,895. 25% of the full 100% sum of $615,027,580.56. So why is the Prime Minister, and to an extent the press, misleading us? But if there are these safeguards in the agreement, Dr. Joe, publish the agreement. Publish the agreement in the name and spirit of openness and transparency. I challenge Dr. Joe to publish the agreement. I challenge him to publish the agreement. And as a matter of fact, if a guarantee is provided, and I said this before on my program in another instance, the Finance Administration Act, if you read section 55, Mr. Minister of Finance, it says a guarantee of a financial liability shall not be given by the government unless it is A, given in accordance with the provisions of an act authorizing the guarantee, or B, authorized by resolution of the National Assembly. We are playing around with the business of government. I challenge Dr. Drew to publish the agreement. Dr. Drew, publish the agreement. Let us know what is stated in the agreement, and the country would know what's happening with the guarantee you would have provided. And I am not a wager, but I am willing to bet my bottom dollar that Dwyer's prediction is accurate. Dwyer's prediction is this agreement will become your political burial site if this project ever gets off the ground. And I don't mention Dwyer. I have not mentioned his name you would recognize on this program for months, for a long time, and deliberately. Dwyer and I have not agreed on many things, especially in recent times. But putting La Valley and other issues aside right now, I am not afraid to say this in the public interest. Dwyer Astafan is absolutely right when he said this, my straight dog family.
I am not at all against private investments for public good. I am not against programs for housing and for other developments that can benefit primarily the people of this country. But a project of this scope and consequentiality, if it is to proceed, needs to do so only after the public is fully informed. Inform the public, get it right, before these holes that are intended to be dug into the ground, with all the good intentions in the world, better to take a little time and get it right than these holes end up becoming political burial sites for our decision makers.
Yes, it's going to come a political burial site. And again, I'm not afraid to say this in the public interest. I am saying this in the best public interest. Dwyer, you are absolutely correct. There is this other big issue about Crete Farm or Crete Farm. And the agreement expressly states that the developer intends to set up its Crete Farm housing system factory in St. Kitts, which will be used for the project to manufacture the fiber cement boards to be used in the construction of the houses. So come on, don't tell us about local contractors. What local contractors know about manufacturing the fiber cement boards? Then bring, I'm not saying they don't have the capacity. Bring the factory. Put them inside there, let them manufacture the fiber cement boards and let them install them. Yes, there's a special exit clause as well in the agreement. The agreement says to providing 2 semi-furnished model homes prior to the start of construction. Developer has a contractual agreement up front. They had to provide a contractual agreement up front for the delivery of 2,400 houses, which includes the 2 model homes. And again, there is a special exit clause by Shutok family. But mathematics, I find difficult. Yes, maths I find difficult as it requires patience, persistence, and lots of time and energy. It is my strongest weak point because maths involve multi-step processes, for example, which require practice and more practice than other subjects. Over time, the median wage is not increasing at the same rate as inflation. It is not increasing in tandem with the cost of living. And this is especially true for low-income earners. As new housing is being added to the market here in St. Kitts, with prices out of reach of the low-income tier, over time, the demand has been increasing still for low-income houses. We've heard that energy has some 3,800 applications. When you do your maths, affordable housing is disappearing. Don't mind what Dr. Ju says about multiple pathways to building. What multiple pathways to building?
The issue has been a little talk about housing, but I want to say here from the out front that we had promised that we'll build a significant amount of houses. We intend to do that. We have started a serious process in doing that. Housing has been on the minds of our people. They have always asked for the opportunity to own homes. And therefore, we are pursuing multiple pathways of building sufficient homes for our people here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
What are the multiple pathways? Another big lie. Is gone to 2,400 houses, the fiber cement board. But Dr. Drew must tell the country who really are the principles behind these foreign developers. Dr. Drew must tell the country if there was proper due diligence conducted on East Coast housing development. The government, had they done proper due diligence, would have been made aware that the East Coast Housing Corporation was formed less than 2 years ago and has absolutely no track record of home construction in Trinidad and Tobago or anywhere for that matter, my Straight Talk family. Nowhere they have a track record. Why then did the Jew Labor Administration disadvantage local contractors by giving a foreigner preferential treatment that is in contravention with the existing procurement legislation? Tell the country why. Why did you do that, Dr. Drew? How did it secure a contract? How did this company secure a contract to build 2,400 homes? And the Jew Labor Administration must also explain to the country the price of these homes. And we must tell the country, why are these homes in terms of cost higher than the stronger and better traditional National Housing Corporation concrete and block homes? Why are they more expensive? I am told that the price for construction that NHC normally pays is at $200 per square foot. Let's do our mathematics. And it's my weak point. So forgive me if I go wrong. But if you have the half a hogshead, that single bedroom is 324 square feet. At $200 per square foot, my Straight Dog family, at $200 per square foot, that would put that house at $64,800 for the one bedroom. But under Drew, this one bedroom, this half a hogshead, is costing $110,000. And the other cement board, the other fiber cement board houses will now cost $213,000 for a two bedroom and $297,000 for a three bedroom. That's according to the slow learner, Jeffrey Hanley.
All homes will be built and equipped with a refrigerator, stove, and a solar water heater for as low as EC $111,000 for a one bedroom, EC $213,000 for two bedrooms, EC $297,000 for three bedrooms.
They have calculatively not provided the square footage for this the 2 and 3 bedrooms, but we know for the 1 bedroom. But let's just do our mathematics a little different. At $200 per square foot, like I said, that's what NEC normally pay contractors. Then that 1 bedroom house should cost, with block and steel, $64,800. It's costing with fiber cement board, which is more efficient, which is faster, they say, $110,000. So if my mathematics is correct, then that's an additional $46,000 one has to pay. So who is pocketing these overcharges is a question I ask. In whose pocket these overcharges are going? A 1 bedroom costs $110,000. A 2 bedroom is almost double the 1 bedroom. So you're saying to me, you have a 1 bedroom fiber cement board house, and just to add another bedroom to it, it's costing you almost the same amount of the cost of the 1 bedroom house. It's costing you $110,000 or $3,000. The 2 bedroom is almost double the 1 bedroom, and the 3 bedroom equals 3 times the cost of the 1 bedroom. My straight dog family, this is a housing debacle. The maths too hard. That's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. I'm going to open the lines because I'm certain that you have seen some things that I have not seen or mentioned, my straight dog family. And I want you to tell me about them. The numbers are 663-6672 and or 646-829-6672. I always implore you, before I open the lines, to respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned, and let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let's ensure that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in saying and doing those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, it is exactly 9 o'clock. I go to the lines. My straight dog family. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Hi, Dick. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're live. Could you turn your equipment down and just listen to your telephone?
Okay.
Yes, sir. You're live.
Is this better?
Yes, it is.
Is better?
Beg pardon?
Is this better?
Yes, it's better, but I'm still hearing the feedback. But go ahead. It's much better, yes. Just move away from your equipment.
Patches?
Yes, sir.
Patches?
Yes, sir. You're live.
Yeah, I listened to a talk show today, and then I said, and I listened to a talk show today, and then I said, right?
Uh-huh.
It was very, very disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
The host, you call in, he cutting you off.
Yeah.
Okay, let me.
Why don't you move away from your equipment?
Yeah.
Just.
And it was very disappointing package. you cannot, you can't be host. You want to people to talk.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to ask my good friend Edinburgh if you're aware that Congo doesn't got to the school, the church got, where he knows about, because all from St. Paul's, if training got all those, if all those land here belong to the Chinese, that's why you want to ask him.
Mm-hmm.
So, Patches, you know St. Paul's well?
Well enough. Well enough.
All right. You know from the hotel, we build in St. Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Gone right over to the old school in St. Paul. All those land belong to Chinese. So I want Edinburgh. I want to call him today, but the host was very disappointed, so I couldn't get through. So good night, Patches. Good night, Contractor.
Okay, have yourself a good night as well. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, I want to thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. I want to ask the callers to just turn your equipment down, off, or just move away and listen to your telephone. Are you there, caller?
Patches.
Yes.
Let me interject here. I think you have two lines open up at the same time. But anyway, I will hang up and I will allow the other caller to continue.
I don't have another call on the line, but if you want to hang up, that's fine with you. I do not have no other caller on the line, so I wanted you just to turn your equipment down, move away from your equipment. There's nobody else on the line. Are you there, caller? Are you there, caller?
Yes, I am here, but I think you have duplicate calls.
So why are we debating that? Why are we debating that? I'm telling you I don't have any other call on the line.
Beg your pardon?
I am telling you I do not have another caller on the line. So why are we
Okay.
Yeah. Just move away from the equipment. Just turn it off and just talk. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Fine.
All right. Thanks for the topic again. I couldn't wait. First of all, your calculation is right, because I was doing some maths in respect to those calculations on the cost. Now, for bringing in a foreign company, when no contractors here had the chance to debate whether they can do the job to build this housing scheme, that's a great disrespect.
I'm afraid I seem to have lost the caller. I'm sorry about that, caller. If you can get back, please try and get back. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Okay. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm happy you got back.
Okay. First of all, your calculation was right in respect from 1 bedroom, half a egg house to 3 bedrooms. Where and what kind of calculator they use to come up to these prices, and that humongous amount that left over by using the square feet and the cost. But first of all, it is a great disrespect not to give the contractors here the benefit of the doubt if they are feasible to do this job, rather than to run over to Trinidad and give that proposal just like that. First of all, they're looking at the Trinidad company have funded. Now, when it all boils down, if this project were to take off, wouldn't the government have to pay for it at the end of the day? Where would the government get the money from? Is it their banks here can finance the contractors? It's a legitimate contract. It's a legitimate project. So why they gone over and beyond and do not give the tradesman here the chance? Plus, if you give a foreign company this job, the money, what should have been here, gone out the country? And how can our economy boom when all the money is going out? This is a one big boom since COVID, and probably biggest project that are one of the biggest projects that happened here in the Federation. So like I said again, this is a total disrespect. Now, what kind of quantity surveying they're doing with these projects to come up with these amount of money, with such amount of inflation? Those are questionable. The other thing is, are they supplying a building with more than enough material? And what happened to the excess material we left over? Are the homeowners who will be granted these house or given these house, however they get it, to pay for excess material that does not require? I smell fish and it stinks. And when a man creates his storm and he gets caught up into it, he blames others. I will come back again. Everything is questionable. I think they should go back to their drawing board and redo everything and give the benefit to the contractors here. They can do the job. They can do the job. That is absolutely uncalled for, unacceptable. I said it and I will stand by my point. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your contribution as well. We go straight back to the lines, and no one should doubt you when it comes to the capacity and skills of the contractors. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good evening.
Good evening, my dear. How art thou?
Oh, Lord, I'm fine.
You're fine.
But not to be to blow me away.
Okay.
But I'm fine.
Okay.
That is,
mm-hmm.
They said this is free speech in the country. No victimization of no one. But then when you call to talk, you can't get to talk. I called into the on a radio station, and I was basing on the things then what the gentleman was saying. Because if you're calling on a radio station and you saying something, I think the host is supposed to listen to you. And when you're done, talk your point and what that, then the host cut in and say what you got to say. Well, that was me today, you know. From the time you mention something that they ain't like to hear, then the next one start to cut in and start to talk and what's not. I called him today. And what I said, it turned out this thing what they were talking about. I said, no wonder that we in a hole, because all I said they could be the Prime Minister thing and what's not. I'm not planning really take them on because they're not so like that them about them and all, you know? All the country so is the Prime Minister what they call them? They're not the bodyguard, they advisor to watch that. I said no wonder we in a hole. When you got them kind of people who be the Prime Minister thing and what's not. And further, when the Prime Minister thing on that, we turn them in a hole deeper. Well, before I ever start to talk, the host don't cut me off. He don't cut me off. That same host there was on the radio when they have people go. He's in the church with Mr. Harris go. You got people that used to go, they go to Mr. Harris. And the person they must have the radio calling Timothy Harris all kind of big stone and all kind of that, and the host ain't cutting them off. I'll tell you 30 seconds, 10 seconds, and 5 seconds. And with that, they go to say what they got to say. But to them, now, me attack, the host to say, the host go ahead, put it and then there was our what's not. And when you see them going up people there, I got them voices to homes and what's not. And people from overseas is because they want them to have the money to put aside for themselves. So, you like the food right that in Israel, we are going to talk about having smart hospital and smart house because people now is stupid in this country, no? Because no stupidity from them. But if I have to because there is so many things to speak about. I want to be back.
Anytime, my dear.
So see you for now.
All right. Thanks for your intervention. And yes, yeah, many people who want to suppress or stifle our free expression, and we must not stand for that at all. We must never stand for that ever. Let's go back to the lines. It's 12 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. Caller, you're live.
Hi, Patrice, how are you?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
I'm good. I just trying to let the people them know that when they're talking about the horse cutting them off, they must remember that Zeda is they're talking about. They have all sort and all type of people on the board. So the horse them is working, and maybe they don't tell them, and the people coming up talking against the government or questioning about the government, cut them off. So they have to give the horse a chance to, because the horse is working. Because, for instance, they used to have our radio marketing a Saturday time, the horse gone on vacation, and somebody used to come and continue with it. The horse gone on vacation, the program gone on vacation too, because of the kind of people they have on the board. They have all sort and all type of people on the board. So nobody know, the horse ain't gonna come out and say, well, they tell us we mustn't do this, they just have to do, and now they're the one getting the blame. But people must understand that the horse is working, and they want a bread to car. You know, at least if you carve too hard, you don't have a job. Mm-hmm. So they must have to consider the horse them. That's all I have to say right now, for now. Okay.
Thank you for your input. We go right back to the lines. Caller, thank you for holding your live.
Hello, Patrice.
Yes, my lord.
Yes, how are you doing, brother?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Okay, well, I am more peaceful than you know, because I see me just straight talk today.
Yes, okay. Yes, we had a little good time yesterday myself.
Yeah, he told me so. Yeah. Man, I was pleased and happy to see him, because all I do is hearing his voice, and to see the person, man, I feel so good anyway. But it seemed like from the time, August 8th last year, they'd start with a sharp piece of cutting everything. Mm-hmm. I remember the Monday night after election, the first one, when the host was in there walking, he put on your introduction music for your program, Straight Talk, and then he said, oh, I did something that I wasn't supposed to do. Clip, and it was cut. And from there, it's pure cutting. The cutting church, the cutting Christian program. We had a little program there on ZZ, every morning making the people happy with jokes that they cut. So no surprise to me, man, because I am who I am, and I could get other station. So don't be surprised, really load of cutting. But today, there was the program that everybody talking about on the radio. That was awful. Now I call in and I was talking to the host and the moderator. And the host in there, the guest was Edinburgh, and he got a nasty way. We who are paying our money to call in on a program, he's supposed to let us talk, and if we're going out of order, then he bleep us. And when he get a break, he interject. But from the moment you're talking and you're not saying what you want to hear about the government, he cutting upon you with a load of noise, blah, 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 blah. And no, you're telling lies on truth. And it's the first time I see ZZ volume turned down.
But let's
turned down today. It was awful.
Yeah,
but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm happy you can vent your feelings on Straight Talk, but let's not give them any credence, right? And let's
I don't mean that, you know.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Focus on on this debacle with this housing, because it's a serious matter. So
coming back to that, man. No, this housing thing, this housing business going on here, that is what I was talking about. They think people here stupid. No, we're not stupid. Saying is having, I sure by now, more than 100 house building contractors. And they're going to tell me that they don't see none of them here qualified enough, good enough to build the house what they want, what they're talking about. They're going to build smart house, $110,000 for a 1-bedroom house, and you can carry in your dressing table in the bedroom. You can put in and other things in there. You can build a clothes closet in there. Squeeze $110,000 with $350 a week minimum wage. And those who got a child or children, how in the world they're going to be able to feed their children that the children cannot be malnourished with the kind of poor food that they got to feed them because they got 110,000 cars house to go pay for? Man, they think people foolish. Dr. Joe, we know you that you got a snake tongue. You telling too much lies. Too much lies and you condone it wrong. Imagine he went to the Caribbean sometime there last month or the week before to talk about crime. Where crime is right in his yard. With the Attorney General, what he do? He commit a crime. And Dr. Joe going on like he don't know anything about that. He's supposed to tell he step down. He's showing a poor bad example in this country to other lawyers. And he ain't doing that. So how could we believe he with what he talking about smart houses and how many houses is he gonna build in 4 years' time? Can't happen. Cannot happen. And like a caller said, why don't he seek local contractors let the money stay here? Those people who come in here, they come in here because they hear Dr. Harris always talk about the surplus of money that he was able to raise in this country. That's why he could have paid money to people in the COVID. And now Dr. Judem come in here and said that no money there, the country is in red. But he taking up the same money out of the treasury where taxpayers' money gone and going to an alternate gallivanting. 7 of them went to England.
Okay.
And they're going again. I mean, a few of them gone again. Uncle, Nene, Tanti, wife, children, everybody gone who ain't in government. Wasting the government money. That all them kind of money they could have been here to pay local contractors and these houses.
Okay.
People need housing. And how in the world they going to build a house on somebody's land if the person say where they have the land? Well, there's only one house you can build on somebody's land.
Okay.
They can't go up in the 3 floors on somebody's land. So they're wasting the money.
Okay.
You got space in the air. We ain't got no space on the ground.
Okay.
Anyway, Patches, I'll come back. See?
Thank you.
Let me get me other thoughts them together.
Yes, please. Thanks.
I don't say what I have to say with them there. They're worthless in this country and loyal and bad.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your intervention. I want to thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yes, Patches. Good evening, man. How are you?
I am peaceful myself. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, this housing thing has been making its round, and this is my take, man. It doesn't smell good at all.
No, it doesn't.
And, you know, it doesn't smell good at all. And, you know, some big projects, my problem is, right, big projects like these, right, why would they really ignore the public, man? Why would they really ignore the public? You know, there is not enough transparency. They come into this government and they're big on these intangibles, you know, transparency and all this big intangible stuff. But yet still, it seems like they have gone off and signed off on a big project without even consulting the people.
Exactly.
You know, and all of this little appearances now is just like damage control. It's after the fact. And then now they want the people to just swallow this stuff and accept it for what it is. You know, but I don't really feel like the people is confident enough, even after these you know, appearances and that press conference today. You know, the money got to trickle down to the common man.
That's true.
The ambassador, he was on Freedom last week. One thing I noticed he said last week when he was on, that he said that he found out through the grapevines that the local contractors was thinking about going into protest.
Yep.
And as far as I can see and as far as I could tell, they had needed to done did that process long time. That protest long time. They need to organize themselves, man. You know, whether the money is going to hit them, yes or not, we don't know. So we just speculating. But they need to show these politicians that the people really got the power. And we're talking about labor relations. This labor government, they say that they're strong with labor relations, but look at what they have gone and did now on a project which is involving labor. Work. We're talking about the working class. Look at how they treat the working class with this presumed project that they're talking about is coming. And the Chinese have already been now controlling the retail sector, and it appears like they're selling out the country even more. You know, I mean, this is like race relations. We gotta address race relations as well in the federation, because the federation is rapidly becoming a melting pot, and the local people, they're having a lot of gripes, and the government got to address race relations as well. And going forward, if they keep operating like this, man, you know, the place is gonna boil over. You never know. It might create some friction between races in the federation. But from what I'm observing, you know, there have been a lot of complaints that the Chinese is now dominating the retail sector. And I've heard through the grapevine that the Chinese or the government or whoever, they're planning to bring a concrete processing plant in St. Kitts. And if the Chinese them succeed in doing that, the construction trade in the federation is going to take a hit. These companies, that's who's providing, you know, blocks and concrete materials and stuff like that, they're going to take a hit, because I'm going to tell you, man, from experience, I've traveled to Ghana last year and I saw these big Chinese concrete plants in Ghana, in West Coast Africa, and they're controlling those already. St. Kitts and Nevis is too small for this foreign domination. If these Chinese succeed in bringing a plant here, that processing plant in St. Kitts, it just seems like this project with this housing stuff is just the start of this type of stuff happening in the Federation. So woe be to the people in St. Kitts and Nevis, man. I hope they work this project out to benefit the people. All right? But that's my contribution, man. Thanks a lot. You have a good night.
Thanks a lot. Sound contribution as well. You're so correct, you know. And yes, the proposal was for the developer to set up its critiform or crete-form housing system factory, which will be used for the project to manufacture those fiber cement boards. That's what the proposal is. Caller, I want to thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Yes, you're live, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How is it, Patches?
Yes, it is.
Man, you sound strange, man. Your voice sounds strange on my phone.
Oh, it does?
Yeah. This housing project, it's going to create some problems in the country, no doubt, because there are a lot of unanswered questions. When somebody builds, purchases a low-income house, you have two choices. You have two levels. One, you can either have it built on your own property, or else you can have it built on government land. When you build it on your own property, you have to provide your own infrastructure and that kind of thing. When government do it, they tend to build in communities as against one, as you would when you do it privately. When you build in communities, the government provides for roads, water, electricity, and all sorts of things, which has a cost. And we've heard only one set of costs so far, 213, and 297, and that seems to be the cost to the actual builder. That does not seem to include the land and the infrastructure that has to be provided for these houses to be fully occupied. Because I imagine the square footage for the one-bedroom house is going to be a lot less than the square footage for the three-bedroom house. So I believe that there are some additional costs someplace for the land if you're buying it from government in community-based construction. And we're not hearing that kind of thing. Because you can't tell me that if I give you my land, you can charge me $297,000. And if I get government land, it can be the same, $297,000. In other words, government giving the land for free. It doesn't make any sense. So somebody is fooling somebody, and I don't want them to fool me. So something is going on strange someplace.
I like your perspective, and I recognize the voice now, brother.
And this other part about building, what you call a cement processing plant in St. Kitts. We've got two of them. Maybe they're undersized, the donor, but I'm quite sure that the owners of these plants can expand if necessary. As again, some foreigner, the Chinese coming in to put up a plant here to compete with the local businesses. We have enough competition with the Chinese, and they've put all the small business people out of bread already. There are a lot of moms and pop shops that have closed down, and as a result, the previous owners of those shops are now on the begging line because of the Chinese. And I don't believe we should be encouraging any more Chinese to come in this place to live, let alone to work or anything of the sort. We have a problem, and I can see potential problems coming up as a result of this. But there's a lot of secrecy going on with these things. They're hiding things on the public. They're saying things to make it sound as sweet as possible, but there are a lot of dirtiness going on under the table. Have a good night, Patches.
Have a good night as well. Thanks for your intervention. Yes, you are so correct. Everything is just shrouded in secrecy, and they talk about transparency. And I challenge the Prime Minister, in the name of transparency and openness, let the public see this agreement that you spoke so highly of. Let us go back to the lines. Thank you for holding. Caller, you're live.
Patches, this is my second time coming in, and I will not call back again. But let me ask you a question, or some question. First of all, what does this, in your thinking, this Trinidad company have over the local contractors here? Is it money to finance the project or equipment? Now let's look at the government. Everything will trickle down to the government to make whatever payment. Can't the government hire a set of shoppers to go to the source where all these materials will originate from to cut down costs? All these material going to middlemen, wouldn't that be a burden of cost to the government? Why don't they get up off of their asses and be proactive and find the best bang for the buck and ship them into the Federation, keep checks and balance with the material where that will warrant the quantity surveyor, the amount of material each unit will take from beginning to completion. Is that hard? Shop and get the best bang for the money. Why are you going to go to a middleman? And that middleman, they have to go to another middleman. And middleman, all those are costs. Does that necessary? Bring the materials in. Go to China and buy the materials. We have good ties with China if that's where they're going to shop for. And also, where the money will come from at the end of the day. Isn't there banks here could finance this project? Or banks can combine and finance this project? It is a legitimate project. It's a profitable project. But keep it local. Those ministers have to go out and shop. Be proactive. They have to be proactive. Not just waiting for a paycheck. Because it's all about money. And it's all about corruption. And it's all about thievingness, robbingness, dishonesty, hypocrisy. You name the list. Something is wrong. And we're asking for transparency. Tell us how you arrived from beginning to the end to complete one unit and then multiply it by how much it will total. People here are not stupid. I went to 1A6 and I was bad on maths. But I sure my maths is not wrong. And I will challenge anyone with that. Be transparent and let the chips fall where they may. Come on. You can't play people for fools. We may look like fools, but we are not. Else you're going to just put yourself in a melting pot where you will be melted. Thank you again. I'm done.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. You know, mathematics certainly is better than mine, but I can say though that, and I have said, a matter of fact, that a great percentage of our population cannot afford safe and comfortable housing and are therefore forced to live in conditions. And we boast about high income status or high income country and what I call nonsense. Because the measures used to get to that classification is really outdated and really not a fair method used. But I'll get back to that, but let me go to the lines.
Good fun lies. I telling you, more lies and lies.
Yes.
Just show me the corner where you fell apart, and I will make you a suit. I listen that piece of man there today. And he said that there is nobody is going to come in this country here and get no credit or work at all at his house. Are he really serious? And he said that nobody is going to come in here and get no work. Well, when the Trinidad company be, what do you think they're going to just do? Bring in the cement thing them and not left them there? Is that he really trying to tell people? Lawyer catch up on top of him. And we need to stop telling those load of lies, because soon a lawyer country is called for disaster. And we're going to have to be very careful with him, with all those lies that he's telling, that we don't get a disaster here after lawyer. Please have a pleasant night.
Have a pleasant night as well. My dear, it's 26 minutes before the 10 o'clock hour, as we are on the uphill side of 10 o'clock. Good night, Patches reads this email. Timothy Harris is a good man, but remains the obstacle at this time to the country's development if he continues to be the leader of PLP, and especially since he cannot unite PLP and PAM again to bring down the disastrous so-called Prime Minister by the name of Dr. Jew. Jew will continue to ruin this country if PAM and PLP fail to unite. One country is being run by an uncaring government. Our country, beg your pardon, is being run by an uncaring government who travels every week and only care about their friends and close supporters. Too much poverty and hardship is in the country. Let us wise up, St. Kitts is fast going to the dogs with Jew, the worst prime minister ever. Unite PAM and PLP and get rid of Jew. That's a very interesting perspective there. I thought that PAM and CCM were the real unity at one time, but I take your point. It's not gone too far to unite PAM and PLP. But what happened to PAM and CCM, though? Isn't PAM talking to CCM anymore, or the snake has gone in the grass with Jew? That's the question we must ask, because that's exactly what went wrong with unity, PAM and CCM. Dear Patches, thanks to be live and government ministers listening to you, because I am given an award at Fire Services ceremony for years of service to protect this country. I chose to vote country above self. My check for a piece of land is being rejected, and I'm mad. Thanks to be live and government ministers listening to you. Well, that's the same thing you're saying about the check being rejected for a piece of land. I wonder why that would happen to you. Are you there, caller? Hello, caller? Are you there, caller? Okay, I seem to have had a mix up with that call. My Sherlock family, it's 9:37. And in the event you have just joined me, we are discussing tonight our housing debacle under the theme and under the title, Housing Debacle Maths Too Hard. Maths too hard. Because when you actually do the mathematics, it's, for me, it's my strongest weak point, and it's hard to really follow what's going on with these houses. And you hear them talk about contractors, or 90% of contractors would be hired and so on. Contractors or tradesmen? And that's where we have to make the distinction. Because yes, you'll hire painters, no doubt. You'll hire tilers, if that's what they call. And those people. But the contractor, a contractor is a contractor. He comes in, you give him the plans, look at the designs, he mobilizes his workforce, and he goes. Not one who comes and you tell him to paint here or tile this here. That's not a contractor, Dr. Joe. But let's go back to the lines. Caller, thank you for holding your live.
Yeah, okay. I'm back, Patches.
Yes, sir.
Now, before the election, Dr. Joe and his cabal them, they were talking about transparency. Where is that? In his first 100 days in office, why don't he come and tell the nation how many passports did he sign? Up to now is what, 9, 10 months or whatever it is, about 9 months. He's in office and we keep hiding that information to the public. Dr. Joe, when you going to live up to your commitment? When are you going to live up to the plans that you say you're going to do better than Team Unity? But you are doing worse. Patches, you're the only opposition we got here in the St. Kitts, you know. You, thank God for you and your program, because you are exposing the wrong things that they are doing to us in this country. Dr. Joe, he feels well then that the country is his. That's why he and all he cabal them, they make the pants and the frock out of pure pockets, nothing else but pockets. Anyway you turn his pocket. So if you're eating a piece of chicken bone and you drop out your hand, you can drop in one of them pockets. And all them pockets, they got to be filled. And that's what they are doing. Because you say, here Tony General say that some people were not friendly with the treasury and the trembling in their boots. But what he doing now to the country? Look at it. Context, TDC, Hasford and all those company, the construction company and blacksmithing company and cement company, all of them supposed to let us join together, go on the road and demonstrate and take out Joe, take him out of the cabal, because he feel like think it was given to him. He don't have no respect for nobody. That's why he doing this, because he see nobody opposing him on the street. Now here what he gonna do up there what he do. He take out the judge. A judge, you know, a judge is supposed to live in a house with nobody in the next room apartment. A judge supposed to be neutral in his performance, and he also supposed to live by himself. Take out the judge out of the house that they put the judge in. Put the judge over Frigate Bay in an ordinary apartment, and he gone in the judge house. And now, they were talking about the guard house that Dr. Harris built over Tabernacle in his yard out of his money. They were talking about that. But look, he now going to build apartment up a hill for the guard to go there. That is, we got to do something about these men here, these people here, these Chinese here. They want to come in St. Kitts and take over. And it is time for we to stop them. I don't care how much passport they buy. We see what they're out for. They're out for destroy progress with local people in St. Kitts. They gone up now Upper Buckley's. Upper Buckley's go put down, go thing and stew up the shop. What's wrong with them? They want to take over the whole world. And so therefore they realize that we got some what you call Mickey Mouse people here running government. And they're spending money like drunken sailors up and down the place, free. So they're coming in here now to take over. They don't start to take over with the shops and mom and pop shops, and they're coming now with the construction site. And when they come here, they're going to undermine all who mixing concrete. Even if me mixing concrete and the shovel in the road, they're going to undermine me. We got to stop them. Look what they do down debate with in front of Social Security. Disrespect the view. And they're going to tell me that these here running going up and down the place. So, you know, and where they go again, go beg money and encourage them to come here. But anyway, you have a good night. You hear me, brother? See you when you come back. Safe passage and enjoy yourself at the party and play West Indian calypsos.
Which party is talking?
I know you're going, you know. So we're going to take a holiday till you come back.
Right, brother.
Everybody who listening to Straight Talk, all who listening to Straight Talk are clean, conscience people. And we are concerned about our country and we're going to keep it up. But Joe and his cabal, they have to fall under 2 years. I don't care how much weight they wear. I ain't going to stop talk. Thank you, Patrick. Good night.
Thank you for your intervention, my dear brother. And always assertive, always straight and to the point. And we just thank God we have people like yourselves. I'm a little cautious though, right? You referred to me as the only opposition that we have in the country, but I want to say instead though, I am an untiring advocate of truthfulness. So if speaking the truth puts me in the opposition, then I'm happy to be there. We don't water down anything here on Straight Talk, whether by omission or exaggeration, to make it interesting. I consider it my duty to always present the unvarnished truth about governance in my country as a stickler of continuous improvement. So I'm just an advocate of truthfulness, and I don't get weary in doing such things. Good night, Patches reads this email. Just a little concern seems like when you stand up for your human rights, you get victimized. Just to say that I'm a SEP worker. I've been run off the work just because I expressed myself how I felt about the work. I went to the SEP office for some justice. I ain't get none, but hearing on the street, I'm not working, nobody tell me anything in the SEP office, reads that email. Well, I hope that you can get that matter resolved. Good night, Patches. A lot has been said about these houses, but I'm yet to hear who the payments for these houses will be made to. Will the payments be made to National Bank or Republic Bank? We want to know. But that has not been cleared up, quite frankly, yes, because we understand that the interviews would be done by the NHC, and the NHC, once they have done the interviews, and if they consider you qualified to get a loan from whichever bank, then they make the reference to the bank. But I'm not certain though. There's a lot of, unknowns in this agreement. You know, I mean, you wonder why you'll have to sign an agreement up front for $600 million over for 4 years to deliver 2,400 houses. I mean, it's there's so many things, there's so many unknowns in this agreement, and one of the greatest unknowns is the capacity of East Coast housing development, because they've never built, never. There's no record that can reflect they have built one house any place, whether in Trinidad and Tobago or any place. They are doing this for the first time here in St. Kitts. Brian Singh, I am understanding he's being touted as a civil engineer. I know the Brian Singh as an ex-police officer in Trinidad and Tobago. I have researched all the information in terms of the engineers listed in Trinidad, and I do not see a Brian Singh as a civil engineer. And I'm just saying that because I've heard him being referred to as a civil engineer. The Brian Singh that I know is an ex-police officer who has some relationship with this company, Debacle. But they promise openness and transparency. But everything that the Jew administration has done has been shrouded in so much secrecy, it is unbelievable. And they promise a new and better way. But their actions provides a good example of hypocrisy of a bunch of corrupt politicians. And I'm not afraid to go opine that fact tonight, because something is wrong with that agreement. And something has to come out of it, because, as we said earlier, the National Housing Corporation has been charged by legislation to provide housing for the indigent. Now, a great percentage of our population cannot afford housing, and they're forced to live in conditions that are not good. My straight dog family. And we know that. So, even with this new project to be implemented by East Coast Housing Development, if at all is implemented, I'm sure it won't be, housing affordability will remain a concern or a problem right across this country. Let's go to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Mr. Patton.
How are you?
Good night, Mr. Patton.
Good night, my dear brother John, the Bible man. You know, I'm so impressed with your advance in technology, right? Or your comfortability using the technology. You know, and you call me WhatsApp all the time via my overseas line, which is good, John. And then
I could call you and I could see you on WhatsApp too now.
Okay. So you're up to date. You're not in the.
I could see you playing.
Okay, my brother.
In New York, I want to see you.
Okay.
That is how bad I be.
Okay, all is well.
That is how bad I be.
Yes, man.
I could call you directly and I could see you straight in New York.
Okay,
you could talk face to face.
Okay, my brother. Good to hear, though.
Mr. Paget, what I call you to tell you, because I'm going to tell you something. I live by the grace of God. And after this afternoon, I'm telling, this afternoon, yeah, I am not going to leave no money for the Antichrist. because he soon comes. But I want to say one thing, and I ain't going to talk too long. Mr. Patrick, I used to wonder when people married, Mr. Patrick. I used to wonder if they live 50 years or just 6 years and the matter. But now I find out in Songs of Solomon, chapter 8 and verse 6 and 7. He said, no water could quench love. No flood could drown it, Mr. Patrick. And if you got love for somebody, no care what they do you, and you really love them, you will continue with them. Because listen here, I tell myself, I have to really make it to when the Lord comes, I have to go with him. Because listen here, one of the passage scripture in Hebrews chapter 9 is not appointed unto man once to die, but after the judgment, Mr. Budget. And so all the people gone with one these days, they have to give an account to God for it's going to be a great judgment, white throne judgment. And listen to me, brother. Psalm 41, verse 1. It's a blessed is the man that considers you are doing a great job. You are looking after the poor. And that God the reason why God will protect you. So if you read the whole of Psalm 41, you will tell you what and what. Mr. Patrick, you be strong, see? I am not, and listen here now, anybody do me anything. I got prayer and fasting. You learn how to serve before God, and you tell God, because God say, it is written, vengeance belongs to me. Read Romans chapter 12. It says, vengeance belongs to me, and he'll pay. And so when God starts paying, that's it. That's it. Have a pleasant night, right? And you take care of yourself. God is good. And good all the time.
All the time, God is
good. Last one I'm going to tell you now, and I'm going. I was young. Psalm 37, verse 25. I was young. Now I'm old. Yet I neither see the righteous forsaken, nor seed begging bread. So when you put your confidence in God and God alone, God and He will remove every stumbling block. Good night, Mr. Patrick. Have a pleasant night.
Have a blessed night as well, my dear brother John. Just to piggyback or to even add on what you said about appearing before the judgment seat of Christ. He said each of us must appear before the judgment seat of Christ. But here's a warning. We cannot call any witnesses. We'll have to appear on our own, and we just may, it says, may be recompense for the things that we have done. So, yes, you're right. As we wind down tonight's program in my Straight Talk family, We looked at the short thesis tonight, Housing Debacle, Maths Too Hard. And as I said, that maths is my strongest weak point, so it's always difficult for me to come to grips with some of the issues that are before us. Because you see, maths is difficult. It requires patience, it requires persistence and lots of time and energy. It's my strongest weak point because I believe it involves too many steps and multi-step processes which require more and more practice than other subjects. But over time, if we do our mathematics, the median wage has not increased in lockstep, in tandem with inflation or with the cost of living. And this is especially true for our low-income jobs. Those on minimum wage, for example. And a new housing, or as new housing is added to the market here in St. Kitts, the prices we have seen are out of reach of the low-income tier. The minimum wage. Over time, then what will happen? The demand will continue to increase for low-income housing. But when you do the maths, my Straight Dog family, I am sure you will agree with me that affordable housing is disappearing, or perhaps it has already disappeared from the average man and woman in this country. This is some 10 years ago. 10 years ago, this lady said this.
I would like to know, how am I working undeterred for $320? Could take was $700 in a house.
And she's talking about $700 NHC house. But truth be told, my Straight Dog family, the truth be told, that here in this country, there are no safeguards. Let's take this call and get back to that discussion. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Patches, good night.
How are you, my brother? Good night. Jam down.
Boy, Patches, what's going on, boy?
You just caught me in time. I'm just about to wrap up. But
yeah, but news force just telling us tonight that somebody in the government involved with the cement factory. Somebody's father, brother-in-law to somebody in Trinidad involved. So news force got reliable news. And we want them to know, just like how they had paper and Timothy death, we got paper and a lot of them dead. Have a good night.
Have a good night, my dear brother. But as we wind down tonight's episode, we want the Prime Minister to tell the country who are really the principles behind the foreign corporations involved in this multi-million-dollar housing project. He must tell the country if there was proper due diligence conducted on East Coast housing development. Because if there was proper due diligence, the government would have been made aware that East Coast Housing Corporation or Development was formed less than 2 years ago and has absolutely no track record of home construction in Trinidad where it is registered or elsewhere. So we ask ourselves the question, how did this company secure a contract to build 2,400 homes in the country that we love so much and the country of our birth? These are questions we need answered. Because my Straight Talk family, even with this new project to be implemented by East Coast Housing Development, housing affordability will remain a problem right across this country. And in particular, for someone who works 40 hours per week on a minimum wage, who are being forced now to live in a single bedroom home costing $110,000 to be built by ECHD, the East Coast Housing Development. Or what? They'll have to continue to pay rent in a 2-bedroom house at that burdensome rent which costs them more than 30 or 40% of their income on housing. Everyone needs shelter. Everyone needs housing. So families that spend a lot of money on housing have less money left over to pay for other goods and services. They have less disposable income. Families that face very high housing costs may fall behind on rent, on mortgage, which puts them at risk of eviction and homelessness. My Straight Talk family, as we wind down, the agreement reads, the public-private partnership project is valued at over $600 million over a 4-year period. And the developer demanded a standard written government guarantee of 25% of the full 100%. The government had to guarantee $153,756,895.14, no matter what Dr. Drew says. He's not telling the truth. So why did Dr. Drew tell lies about the guarantee? But there are safeguards in the agreement. Dr. Drew must publish them. Publish the agreement in the name of and spirit of openness and transparency. I challenge Dr. Drew to publish the agreement. And as I said before, and I say on parting, I am not a wager, but I will bet my bottom dollar that Dwyer's prediction is accurate. This agreement, Dr. Drew, will become your political burial site if this project ever gets off the ground. And I said it earlier, and I want to say it in parting. Dwyer and I have not agreed on many things, especially in most recent times. But tonight, just for tonight, I am putting the valley and other issues aside right now. And I am not afraid to say rather, in the best public interest. Dwyer, you are absolutely correct when you said this.
I am not at all against private investments for public good. I am not against programs for housing and for other developments that can benefit primarily the people of this country. But a project of this scope and consequentiality, if it is to proceed, needs to do so only after the public is fully informed. Inform the public, get it right, before these holes that are intended to be dug into the ground, with all the good intentions in the world, better to take a little time and get it right than these holes end up becoming political burial sites for our decision makers.
Yes, that's what they will become. Political burial sites for all who have approved this decision. Poor decision. There's the other big issue about critiform, because the agreement expressly states that the developer intends to set up its critiform housing system factory in St. Kitts, which will be used for the project to manufacture the fiber cement boards to be used in the construction of the houses. Maths, as I said, I find it difficult. But when you do the maths, affordable housing is disappearing. And just like this lady who is concerned about the mathematics, then all of us should be concerned as well.
Houses? How could that? What kind of maths these people really working out? And then expect people to come and support them. He will never win another election. I'm telling you. What happened to the local contractors who's suffering, who really need a job to make sure that ends meet for their children? What happened to our local contractors when it comes to that housing? Why them they will never make it into another tour. May I tell you?
So when you do the maths, as I said, affordable housing is disappearing. And when you do the maths, my Street Dog family, and I ask the question, you must ask Dr. Drew and his administration to explain the cost of these homes and explain as well why are they higher than the stronger and better traditional NHC concrete and block homes. NHC pays $200 per square foot, or it estimates $200 per square foot to build. Take the half a hogshead, the single bedroom, it's 324 square feet. At $200, if my maths is correct, that's $64,800. Then how on earth, under the Jew, and half a hogshead now costing $110,000. And the other fiber cement board houses will now cost $213,000 and $297,000 respectively. So why or who is pocketing these differences. 1 bedroom equal $110,000. 2 bedrooms equal almost double the 1 bedroom. And 3 bedrooms equal almost 3 times the cost of 1 bedroom. This, my Straight Talk family, is a housing debacle. The math's too hard. I can't work it out. And that's my story tonight, and I'm not going to change it. So until we connect on Thursday, on Monday, beg your pardon, because my time is done and I gotta run. I gotta thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight. As always, I want to thank you, the many listeners all over the world on social media. That's our access point to you. Now, YouTube, Facebook, share the link whenever you get it. I want to thank all those who sent emails and all those who called. So those of you on YouTube, those of you on Facebook, those who called, and those who sent emails, remember, you all are the ones who make Straight Talk, and I say a big, big thank you. I am Ian Patches Liburd, and God's spare, we will connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk. Until that time, have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Those in St. Kitts, go to the beach. It's hot, isn't it? Do your chores. But everything you do, let's do it with moderation. And remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk. Keep moving on.
In the morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and loving care, and for my mother's breath of life that's got me here. So whatever my